Hello, great ones. Welcome to the Live and Be Great podcast. I'm your host, Latanya Sampson McDonald. I am a life coach and a registered marriage and family therapist associate. And this podcast was created to motivate, educate, and inspire all to live and be great. On today's episode, I want to talk about something that is definitely near and dear to my heart: gentle parenting and the harms and effects of corporal punishment. So this is a topic I'm very, very passionate about. And I'm going to warn you now. People might get upset. I might be a little fluctuated in my tone when I talk about certain things. And yes, don't worry, the giggle that I have, my nervous giggle, my defense mechanism will be here to comfort you all along the way. But this is an important topic, and I'm going to talk about it as long as I can because it's important, and I don't think people understand what the psychological effects are when you decide to spank your children. Okay? People like to say, oh, spanking is different than beating. It's the same thing, y'all. Okay? I hate to burst y'all bubbles. It is the same exact thing. Because in order to spank, you have to hit. Hitting is violence. Period. All right? The effects. So, with working with domestic violence victims, this is where the psychological effects are most prevalent. It starts when you as a parent introduce the violence, right? The hitting, the spanking, the physical discipline. You are your children's first example of what love is. So when they do something that you feel like deserves punishment, physical punishment, something in the brain is set off. And subconsciously, you have just made it okay for anybody that's an adult to do harm to them. And they, in return, your child in return believes that because this happened to me, it's my fault. And I'm not going to say anything because I'm probably going to get in trouble. So, when talking about this topic, I often get well, what if my child is about to touch the stove and they don't quite understand, no and stop? What if they're about to put their fingers in the socket, right? Which your house should be childproof if you're going to have one. Okay? That's just the point, the blank, and the period. There's no excuse for that. It should be childproof, right? But I think you've kind of already been using tools, because I've seen people with babies that aren't theirs. The baby cries and they pretend to cry. They get the baby's attention, right? They instantly are looking at what are you doing, right? But when it comes to your own children, you don't know what to do. Okay? There are so many tools. Y'all can go on Google, YouTube. You can get a therapist. You can go to parenting classes, TikTok. Okay? Free advice as to tools that you can use to teach your child boundaries when they're not yet verbal. But also, honestly, guys, listen, it's a baby. Okay? If you're going to have one, please know that it's the hardest job that you're ever going to have to do. You have to watch your child. I'm sorry. You just do. That's just what it's going to be. Okay? It's not a one-hit type of thing. Okay? No pun intended, but it's not I tell you one time and you just do it type of situation. They're not robots. They're human beings. Okay? So if you're going to have a child, you got to put in the effort. And if you need help, say something and get help. You don't have to do it by yourself. There are resources available now. Maybe your parents or grandparents didn't have access or didn't think they need access or didn't understand the psychological effects of it back then. But you do, because I'm telling you. And you have to do better. You do. Okay? It's not only that, like boundaries, violation of boundaries at an early age. My goodness, when you are telling your child, okay, go hug so and so, or shake their hand, or yeah, you can kiss my child without your child's permission, you are ready. Yes, it looks nice, it looks polite, or whatever the case may be, but that you are already in violation, okay, of that child's boundaries. And that child grows up, probably you, if you can really, really reflect, and if you're self-aware, grows up not knowing how to assert boundaries, especially with family. Okay? But you open that door when that physical space is now open to any and all things. It shouldn't be. Right? That's trauma. Okay? And when it comes to my domestic violence victims, it's not only there where they feel like, okay, I must have done something to deserve this. It is linked to so many fears that we have that can be avoided, right? Speaking up for yourself. Okay? When it comes to staying in relationships, violent or not, right? But toxic relationships longer than you're supposed to. Staying at that job longer than you're supposed to. It's connected to you not wanting to take risk. It's connected to if you make a mistake, you get overtly anxious. And you may know in the present tense nobody's going to come and hit you, but psychologically, just like when you go through that haunted house and you know everything is fake, but you still get scared. Yeah, psychologically, the effects that it has on your brain, it's trauma, and it can halt you, right? So I'm telling you now, if you started that way, you can stop. If your kids are grown now, you can apologize, right? And teach better and do better. Like, there's no excuse. And if you're an energy person, this is the thing. Like, we gotta tell the truth, okay? Let's be honest. Um, I remember when I had my nieces and nephews, and my nieces and nephews, they pretty much like siblings because we're so close in age. At least the first set, the first three, like we're very close in age. So they were like siblings. And I remember I used to get so upset when I would see them get passes on things that I probably got slapped across the room for. And because I was auntie, I was like, y'all finna get hit, right? But that was my resentment talking. That was my little girl who was upset, jealous, and envious of the fact that I couldn't do it back to the person that did it to me. And my ego got in the way, right? That was wrong. At the time, I didn't realize that's what it was, but that's what it was, guys. With me doing my work and healing, definitely able to apologize for that. It was dead wrong, right? And it goes back to what I was saying. My nieces and nephews wouldn't go back and tell their parents, "Oh, Auntie Tanya, how does that sound?" How does that sound when when it's usually, when it comes to certain households, anybody's allowed to hit your child. It's an authority figure, right? It still happens in certain schools, depending on where you're from and your cultural background. Yeah, you may try to cover it up as a parent and say, "Oh, nobody's allowed to hit you," right? Or nobody's allowed to go that far or hit you with an object or whatever the case, whatever type of stipulations you want to try to put on it. But guess what? The effects are still going to be there because you introduced it. You were the first to signal to their brain, "I hit you because I love you." When you should be saying, "I hit you because I was lazy and I had a lack of communication." You guys, there's no excuse. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it because I can't. Because enough is enough. It's not making no sense. And you have to ask yourself, like, if you're dead set on the fact that you feel like kids need to be hit as far as discipline, I want you to really ask yourself, why are you fighting to inflict violence on your child when you have a therapist telling you that it causes psychological trauma and it's a violation? You ask yourself that. Really, really sit with yourself. What's the big deal? Really sit with yourself. Like, if I offered $500,000 every time you felt like hitting your child so that you wouldn't, would you take it? And why would it take that money for you not to make the decision to abuse your child? Right? What does that say about you? What does that say about how you feel about yourself? Like, I want to tell you right now, your children deserve to be talked to till you blue in the face. Right? Just like certain people hate showing up to a new job with lack of training and then they get in trouble for it. But wait, hold on. I just got here. Y'all didn't train me right. Why am I getting in trouble? When you know good and well there was a lack of training. That's not on me. That's on the trainer. Right? So it's not on the child. That's on the parent. For lack of communication, you can find ways. You got TikTok, you got YouTube, you got parenting classes, you got therapists, Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Girls. You got resources, right? So it's time to do better. Another one I'm gonna get you with is I have worked with parents with kids that are nonverbal, autistic, nonverbal. So they have to use body right? They use their body in any type of way. You might get punched by an autistic kid, right? But when they go for help, when they utilize their resources, if they can figure out how to not get to the point to where I need to fight my kid, knowing good and well they don't understand and they're nonverbal, so I need to find a better way of communicating with them. If they can figure out a way not to hit their child, you can. You have no excuse. Period. When it comes to this corporal punishment situation, there's a lot of myths out there. I'm sorry, I have a little lisp. If you guys haven't figured it out, I have a lisp. So MYTH. If it's not coming through, I apologize. But there's a lot of lies. Let's just say that. It's a lot of lies out there when it comes to this topic, right? When people want to say, oh, there's a difference between hitting, or there's a difference between beating and spanking, or abuse and discipline. There's no difference. In order for the person to feel what you're doing, right? It has to hurt. So you have to put in a certain amount of force for them to feel it. Now, depending on the circumstance, right? If you are, say, stressed about your relationship, you're angry with one of the parents, your spouse, if you don't like your job, if you are depressed, if you're under a lot of stress, I want you to understand that in that hand that you're about to take, all of that has nothing to do with what your child just did goes into that hand. All of it. And that ain't fair. It's actually diabolical. Because when you feel like you have lost all control in certain areas of your life, you look for control naturally. But some of us, instead of getting the help that we need and we so rightfully deserve, you look for control in something that won't fight back. We gotta be honest about it. You train your kids not to fight back, you instill fear. So what does that remind you of? I'm telling you right now, for the black people, okay, that's slavery. And that's slave mentality, and it's white supremacy, rooted in white supremacy. Okay? That you have to physically inflict violence on a human being to get them to do what you want, and get them to the point to where it hurts so bad they feel powerless. And yeah, the one of the lies was, okay, well, back in the day, parents had to do it when it comes to slavery so that the master wouldn't do it, right? But if you take it on back, who introduced it to you? So what's their excuse? That's another myth that white people don't hit their children. Oh, white people got the biggest, I'll tell you right now, okay? They got the most child abuse cases out there. And a lot of them get away with it. Okay? Because they're doing it in their own homes. Is that normal? So that's also another myth. Yes, you may see a little white kid throwing a tantrum. Okay? Two things can be possible there. Either one is that parent is like, okay, they do this. Go ahead, get it out. Still not getting that candy bar. You done? All right, let's go home. Or two, that kid is smart. That's that one moment for that little kid to take, because I know for sure you're not about to hit me in this store and get arrested. Right? Two things possible. I've seen them both. And when somebody isn't doing something you tell them to do, or you feel like you have to repeat yourself with certain situations, it can be an attack on the ego. That is what is responding and wanting to shut things down and assert dominance. That part needs to be checked. Because if a kid can have you so off balance, right? Nine times out of 10, it has nothing to do with that kid, but everything to do with you and your trauma and your unresolved issues that you haven't dealt with. We got to be honest. We have to be honest. I say this little joke in family sessions all the time. I ask the kid, what does mom or dad look like when they're screaming and they're upset and they're stomping around and slamming doors? What do they look like? Does that look like a grown person to you? And they're like, no. Whole family laugh. No, it looks like a toddler throwing a temper tantrum. Okay? Hence, that's usually who decides to act out in violence. Somebody who was once violated themselves and hasn't resolved that. Because you cannot convince me as to why you need to take your big old grown hand and hit your child, break something on them, like you have lost control of your life and you need something to control. But that ain't the way. You get control back by getting the help and the support that you need. It may not be from your spouse or the person you had the kid with. It may not be from them, right? But you can seek professional help. You can. You deserve that. You're worth that. And so is your child. Because I guarantee you, people who just decide to up and hit their kids, life ain't going right with them. Everything is not balanced. It isn't. They're a work in progress. But your children should not have to be casualties of war. And I understand as parents, you make mistakes. Apologize for those mistakes. But the best apology is always and forever going to be changed behavior. You do that, and you start to nurture and create a safe, emotionally intelligent human being. If this is something that you're hearing for the first time, right? Understanding the psychological effects of hitting your child, using corporal punishment, inflicting violence. This is your first time hearing that. I do empathize with you, okay? Because honestly, probably didn't know better. And a lot of us forget what it felt like You're taught to bottle your emotions. You're taught as a child until you pay some bills, you don't have feelings. Like, what are you stressed about? It's not true. You know, you're a human being. You're in this world. You're going to stress, period. And everybody's stress counts. It may not seem like the same type of stress, but it's still stress and it still affects the body the same way that it would somebody who is an adult. It does. And it still matters and it still should be taken care of and empathized with. You didn't know that. You're listening to this podcast. Now you know. I'm telling you the truth. You would start to find more truth when you really take an honest look at yourself, right? Forget about what you've done. Forget about the mistakes that you've made for just a moment and take a step back to remember how it felt that time when mom or dad or whoever went too far. When you know, oh my goodness, this had nothing to do with me. Like, everybody got that one, everybody who's experienced that type of punishment in their household, everybody got that 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 stories that you can bring back. You got PTSD from. You could bring to the forefront like it happened yesterday. That part stays with you. And we being transparent again. There are people that are going to fight this because they want an excuse to do it to somebody else. I'm going to be honest. I'm being honest and I'm being real with you guys. This should really be saved for the unfiltered version of this. But I mean, I can't be fake about this topic. I can't be overly soft about this topic because it affects lives. And listen, as a human being here on this earth, if I can correct some behaviors, listen, that means I don't got to put up with it. I'm just saying, you know. Another myth is y'all think that, you know, teenage white shooter ain't being abused, ain't being hit. When, excuse me, I've worked with them. They have some serious trauma, right? The flip side to that, those gang members, mostly black and brown, they come from serious trauma as well. Both suicidal, PTSD, depression. Oh, I hit my child to keep them out of jail. I just debunked that. There's a jail full of individuals who were spanked, hit, and we're going to call it what it is. I want you to learn this, who were abused as children. So no, you didn't need to be hit. You needed to be talked to. And if that didn't work, somebody should have gotten help and asked for some assistance. Okay? That fear of being judged, that fear of not having it all together, that fear of somebody seeing what's going in your household. You really shouldn't have that fear if you're doing everything right. Something inside of you is telling you that you're messing up. That's why you got that fear. That's why you're not as open as you can be. Right? But there's nothing to be ashamed about when it comes to asking for help. The single mothers, right? We gotta be honest about that too. Punching your child in the face and in the chest, your boy child, That's not going to make him a man. It isn't. It's going to make him want to attack every last woman that looks like you, or be attacked. One or the other, if he doesn't heal from his trauma. And it may not always look physical. It could be sexual. It could be emotional. It could be verbal abuse that you pass on to this child. You made a choice to be a mother. You may not, like I said, you may not be able to get the help from the person that you made the child with. But I need you to understand there are resources that you deserve to have, and so does your child. There's also an argument when it comes to fathers and if they're should be allowed to physically discipline their daughters. Oh my goodness. See, if it wasn't introduced in the first place, okay, you wouldn't have that problem. You wouldn't. Oh, I don't know what else to do. Ask for help. That's what you do. Be honest. You don't know, so get help. You don't know how to perform open heart surgery on yourself. So what do? You go to a specialist. You can do the same for any struggles you have in life. You don't have to have all the answers. Okay? You don't. Oh my goodness, like I look at little babies. I do. And it does. Like it breaks my heart to think that it is the norm to inflict this pain on a child that does not have all the answers. Like they don't know. They don't know any better. They just got here. They trying to figure things out just like you did, or just like you are. They should be given grace. I want to prepare them for the real world. No. What you're signaling to your child is that there's no place that's safe. And you're confused as to why they're not talking to you when some of those effects start to surface when they're teenagers. You're wondering why they're lying now, and why they might be into drugs, or why they might be, sexually active, or why they might be bullying people or getting suspended. Just being closed off entirely, have a whole different life. Because you made it unsafe. The moment you decided to put your hands on them, the moment you decided to let somebody else put their hands on them and you did nothing about it. That's what you get. And if you have allowed that to happen, what did somebody allow to happen to you? Did anybody apologize to you? And if they haven't, I empathize. I wish I had a switch to turn that pain off so that resentment didn't exist. But you do owe it to yourself to heal. And you owe it to your child to give them better. Oh, and I can't leave without, I cannot leave without I turned out fine. No, you didn't. You didn't. Okay? So many things. Go back, rewind the podcast. So many things as to how it shows you instantly backwards when it comes to communication, listening, standing up for yourself. All of that, okay? All of the stuff I discussed is a result of you being hit. Bottling up your feelings. And some people may say, well, I wasn't hit as a child, and I still, suffer anxiety and depression. Those are cycles, y'all. Those are hereditary. And you will pass it down if you have not healed from your trauma. You'll pass it down. No matter what, even if you say, okay, I'm doing everything different, if you don't heal from it, it's not enough to say it happened to you and then do different. You also need to give yourself that understanding and that healing. Okay? You do. Right? You do. And back to the domestic violence situation, when you're asking, okay, well, why would he go back to her, or why would she go back to him? The same way a lot of us have parents who were abusive and were still in their lives, right? People think that domestic violence victims, like the first date, they're with the person, they getting punched in the face. It's not true. Okay? They're good parts. And the good parts is what keeps you there. Because you keep hoping and wishing and praying for the day you get back to that. Right? And like I said, in the brain, something is telling me that I deserve this. And this is the best that I'm going to get. Right? Just like those people who complain about their jobs every single day, but been at their job for 30 years. Right? Brain telling them, I'm not going to have better. Everybody around them, oh, you got a good job. Everybody keeping you in that space. Right? That space that should have a boundary when it comes to what you want to do in life with your life. You letting everybody in there telling you to stay at that good job and how you so blessed even though you hate it. You get sick, you got all sorts of heart problems and anxiety and depression and high blood pressure from going to that job. Guess where it started? Okay? Those are the risks you take. Those are the risks that you are deciding to ignore and expose your child to that, a life of that. It's not okay. And if you need help, I need you to say something. I need you to say something. Okay? I think for this, the unfiltered version, I think I'm going to have me a guest. All right? I think I'm going to have a guest. And I did post the first half of a conference, right? That, showcased some Black professionals, therapists, counselors, coaches, parents on there that were against abuse, against hitting your children. Right? I shared the first half. I didn't get around to sharing the second half. And I may or may not share why I didn't share the second half on the Patreon that you guys need to sign up for. Okay. But I can go all day on this topic. I could argue with the best of them. Okay. Especially darn Christians. Right? Christians, don't come at me. Don't. Religious people, spare the rod. That's not what that means. Spare the rod. That's not what that means. Okay. You want it to mean that you hit your child. That ain't what that means. So don't come at me with your foolishness. Okay. You don't do it. Don't do it. Because there's also a scripture in the Bible that says if you provoke your child, you better off tying a rope to your neck with a rock on the end of it and jumping into the ocean. Right? They don't put them two parts together, which they should. So hush. Don't come at me with the nonsense. I don't want to hear it. I don't. It's unnecessary. Especially, oh my goodness, so many people have been abused by Christians in so many diabolical ways. They even use their religion to get away with it. Use their power in the church to get away with it. I don't want to hear nothing about that. Okay? Don't try me with that one. It's not going to work. It's going to fall on deaf ears. Because I got enough exposure to people who have been violated by Christians. So, don't do it. Nothing against Christians. But you're not going to win with that one. Okay? Lack of communication is what you're suffering from. Denial, resentment, and trauma is what you need to heal from. If that's all you can bring to me. Baseless. Okay? So, tell me how you guys feel. If you're still, still have arguments, like I said, ask yourself, why is it so? Especially y'all don't even have kids. The ones that don't even have kids yet, oh my goodness, you're in the best position. If you're still feeling like people need to get hit, that your children need to be hit and they're not even here yet, ask yourself, why are you fighting to inflict violence? Why? Why does it make sense? Instead of getting help when I feel stuck. Getting help when I feel like I don't know what else to do. Right? And why do people, I'm going to ask my guests, we're going to talk about, why do people treat other children better than their own children? Why is that so easy? I see it every day. Every day. What is that about? It's because you're trying to beat yourself out of your kids. Because all they're doing is reflecting the parts of you that you haven't dealt with. And it scares you. It scares you. Okay, so I'm going on and on. Okay? I warned you guys, I'm very passionate about this topic. Nobody's going to shake me off of it. It's just not going to happen. Even what if my child, is a teenager and feels like they could hit me back? Well, what did you do? Don't lie to me and tell me you never hit them. Don't lie. Don't lie. And stop believing that if you see a white kid hit their parent, that their parent never hit them. Stop. Especially if it's a white woman. No offense, but offense. Don't. We got to tell the truth. Okay? And I told y'all, you're going to get a different Tanya. This is the real Tanya. This is the elevated. I can't play with y'all on certain topics. I just cannot. Right? Because every behavior is a learned behavior. It is. It is. You want to see how somebody truly is? Look at their children. That is all. They will spill all your tea All of it, as much as you try to hide. So get help, okay? I have enjoyed getting this out and talking about this, even though I'm very passionate about it. But I'm confident in what I say because of the work I've been allowed to do in this space. And I want you guys to truly, truly live better and do better. Okay? See you guys soon. Don't forget to sign up for the Patreon. It should be linked in the description of this podcast. The Live and Be Great podcast will be airing every other Friday. If you have truly enjoyed this podcast, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving Live and Be Great a chance. Please feel free to share, like, give a review, subscribe on whichever platform that you're listening to right now, on iTunes or Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, as well as Google Play. The Live and Be Great podcast is strictly crowdfunded, so if you are interested in becoming a supporter, you can click the link in the description, or you can go to liveandbegreat.com and scroll to the bottom and donate to the Live and Be Great podcast today, so I can continue to give you good and motivational content. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to give yourself permission to live and be great.